today I'm going to lead a session, and I thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of interaction. So after I've given some instructions, some reflections, then we'll open up to see if there's some live questions or things you'd like to bring up in terms of Dhamma practice or in terms of clarifying what I said. Okay. So anyway, let's begin by recognizing the triple gem in the traditional way. Sam Vakato Yena Bhagavata Namo Sumpatipano Yasa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Dhammayam Bhagavantam Sadhammam Sasangham Imehi Sangharehi Yataraham Anropidehi Apipuchaya Satu no Bande Bhagava Sujira Barini Buddhopi Bhajima Janandanangam Pamanasa Ime Sangare Gandapana Karabonde Padigan Atu Amangam Biharandam Hidaya Sankaya Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavandam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavanda Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavando Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami Andamayam Buddhasa Bhagavato Bhagavata Makaram Romasir Namo Dasa Bhagavato Arahando Samma Sambuddhasa Namo Dasa Bhagavato Arahando Samma Sambuddhasa Namo Dasa Bhagavato Arahando Samma Sambuddhasa. Okay, so let's take some time, direct practice. Citta Bhavana. Citta Bhavana is the proper word for what you call meditation. There are various aspects to this, but mindfulness, investigation, inquiry, calming, kindness, all of it's about cultivating, growing, making the citta develop, come out of its depleted or contracted state into something more beautiful. So often I use the word heart to translate citta. Susan has those. And so for today, it's not a bad place to start. Yeah. So sitting in your steady, stable way, comfortably, but in that alert, listening state, and just relaxing all the muscles in your body that you don't need, your hands, your shoulders, your neck, around your eyes, your fingers. So the body becomes softer, more gentle, less agitated, less defended. And but within that softness, you can feel the back, the spine. The spine as the thread, the unifying structure for your entire torso. Chest is soft, the arms are soft, the face is soft, and the spine runs from the back of your head all the way down to your tail. And that's it's firm. So it's as if your soft body is supported or even suspended, carried on this spine, rather like clothes on a post. And you can feel perhaps the base of your body, ground beneath you. Something we take for granted, but in practice it's a very significant feature because it gives us a sense of firm support. Whatever's in your legs can also relax. Firm support. The spine grows out of the ground like a tree out of the earth. And particularly feeling the most important piece of this is in the lower spine, strength in the lumbar region, because that is the foundation, carries the weight into the pelvis and the floor. Then we can relax the shoulders more. If your lower spine is strong, your upper body, your shoulders can relax, your necks can relax. That helps your chest to relax, be open. So more of these muscles can be switched off. And you feel that length from the ground running up through your body into your head. The next element, important element, is space. Above your head, the scalp. Right above your head. No pressure. So lengthen your awareness to include the space above your head. ground beneath you. Helps your face to relax more. Notice also space around you. There's no pressure on your chest. There's no pressure on your back. Let yourself enjoy the absence of pressure, or the room to expand or wriggle or be however you are. Feel how fluid the body is, and within that there's this repeated process of breathing, just running through it. Don't try to follow it, just sit back as if it's breathing over you. Let yourself be breathed through. Just that simple rhythm. And how it causes your body to expand and subside. Expand into the space. And you're breathing out, everything subsides. Mm. What else is causing your chest to expand? See if you can kind of get a vague feeling for the center of that region, the heart region, the breastbone, basically, the center of the chest. And the inhalation, allowing that center to easily open. As if you're breathing through that place. You feel the tingling around it. And you explore that open place, that place that opens. Just go a little bit deeper. You can find the place in your back between your shoulder blades. That is the mirror. of that region. As you breathe out through your back. If you have a channel running through the body, as you breathe out, just being aware of that place in your back, you can feel again you're connecting to that strong, grounded axis of the spine. Breathing out, breathing down the back. And whenever we relax our attention, our mental attention from what we're doing, the mind kind of shakes loose and you get thoughts and memories and emotions running around, or waves of uncertainty, or all that. If that helps, just keep placing your attention back into the heart. This vitaka, placing. As if these are memories and thoughts and imaginations and concerns are like clouds around the heart. And you just gently penetrate through that to the heart itself. And how is that? Without making any further effort, it's almost as if you're granting permission with every in-breath for the heart to be as big and open as it wants to be. Don't force it. It's an encouragement just to, your heart can be as big and open as it wants to be. You breathe out, you can let it all go, and you're safe. As I said before, memories, concerns, and naturally arise. Don't try to get rid of them. These are just clouds. The sky always has clouds in it. The sky doesn't resist the clouds. The sun is shining behind that. Giving attention to the heart, safely held in the body, cradled by breathing in, breathing out. You can get certain emotions from that, feelings of relief, certain joy may arise. Sometimes you just feel a little bit tender-hearted, sensitive. So even with that, just keeping yourself, the heart nicely contained in the body, supported by the back, opening the back as you breathe out. And so for this time, this is a very nice way to open up to listen to a talk. So we'll move from this phase into something when I present some Dhamma, if someone would like to request the talk.
Brahma Chalokadipati Sahampati Katanjali Anadivaram Ayachata Santida Sata Parajaka Jatika Dese Tudamam Anukampimam Pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So, most every time I talk about citta. And where is that? What is that? Is it like this? Is it like that? We try to understand it with our brains, with our thinking mind. And yeah, you can define it, but actually, you know it. You just have to remember it. It's that very sensitive, open place in us that's receptive, gets very hurt, frightened, gladdened, experiences love and passion, experiences regret and anxiety. Impulses jump up and run out of it. Things seem to stab it sometimes. Sometimes it feels it's being crushed or shut down by life. You get depressed and saddened. It's probably the most important thing in your life. Without this, you are in deep trouble. This is the human inheritance. And the Buddha, his whole training and practice was about acknowledging this and making this a priority, even at considerable, putting aside quite a few other things, other sources of pleasure and interest. Yeah. And so this could be here even when your thinking mind stops. This can be here. Even when your thinking mind doesn't know what to do, this can be here. This is with you. This came with you when you were born. And this travels with you when you die. The most important thing. The source of happiness and suffering, the source of integrity, because it's not just an emotion, it's a sensitivity to how we're affected and how we affect others. And that's what we call morality. We're sensitive to how we affect others. And we recognize we're together. We can't, we live in a shared world. We live in a mutual universe. We're not the only thing on the planet. And the hearts know that. Now, heads, forget it. Hearts know that. So when you come from this place, then you have integrity, because anything that abuses that mutual sense is a blemish on one's own heart. Cause a source of pain for others and regret for yourself. So this is definitely our guide. And it's much more accurate than just law and people's opinions about what's right and wrong. It's your own intimate felt sense that you have to take a stand on, because this is your only truth. This is where your truth is. Yeah. And he said, yeah, there's this, but we lose it. Why do we lose it? Because greed takes over, wanting this, wanting that. Aversion takes over. We don't want this, we don't want that. Delusion takes over. I'm one of these, she doesn't count. Opinions and views take over. And then this, you get what's called the worldly dhammas arise. So it said, for the clearing away of these traces of greed, avarice, covetousness, aversion, and delusion, I teach the Dhamma. Freedom from that. So the heart can be unbound from these seductive, pervasive influences. Because another thing about the heart is it kind of remembers everything. It's like something that every thumbprint goes onto it. Every time you do something, it makes some impression there. Yeah. Every time something affects us and we act upon it, it leaves some, shapes the heart. If we become manipulative or defensive or shy or arrogant, get these impressions take over. So clearing these impressions. And it becomes very important. You want to do meditation, you want to go into some stillness, what you're going to find is all those impressions of regret and worry and anxiety, and they come up. Because now we're looking straight into the heart. You do that, you realize you cannot fool around, because everything is going to leave some trace that you're going to have to feel again. Yeah. And as you know, you do retreats, sometimes you suddenly remember something from 10 years ago that wasn't so good. Or you feel the pain of something that happened to you 10 years ago. As far as the citta goes, there's no such thing as time. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, yesterday, 20 years ago, doesn't matter. The imprint's there or it's not there. So apart from our practice of clearing what we're doing right now in terms of integrity and kindness, also doing clearing of old history or karma, that which we've done or that which we've had done to us, have left these imprints. This is a very deep matter, because it's not cleared through aversion. It's not cleared through willpower. You can't say, forget it, stop it, doesn't matter, who cares? It's over. That was 10 years ago. You can't do that. You can't clear it through trying to shrug things off. You clear it through the heart clears it, not your head. And the heart clears it by acknowledging painfulness, discomfort, opening, and gradually opening out through that. So, yes, I do feel nervous or guilty. I'll be with that and keep my heart alive and keep bringing my breath into the heart, loving the heart, and it will gradually expand and clear these residues. This is called liberation. Yeah. It's a deep matter, as you probably know. Because even more fundamental than the things that occur to us is a sense of I am. Yeah. I am this. I was this. I will be this. I want to be this. This kind of view. And it doesn't, rationally, it doesn't make sense, because, who owns anything? And yet when things are stuck, it feels we are the agitation of our minds or the worries. Yeah. And we want to be something other than that. And the Buddha says, no, the heart can be free, and it becomes free of the sense of self. There's definitely presence, there's definitely intimacy, but you belong to Dhamma, not to society and jobs and families. You belong to Dhamma. The heart belongs to Dhamma. because that's where it finds rest and peace, and that's where it finds stability. When it belongs to Dhamma, it's knowing. This is, what does it know? It knows for it knows suffering, cessation. And when we look into this, the Buddha was an exceptionally thorough and well-practiced person. It's really, the more I look and review, it is absolutely staggering. There is nobody like this who so clearly felt, experienced, mapped out, and presented the liberation of the heart. What bothers the heart and what liberates it. This was his primary concern for the welfare of beings. And he gave teachings. And I always like, because I so respect that, I like to try to bring some of these, original Pali phrases and terms. I've talked about karma and citta. And I want to talk about khanda. Khanda. And again, like many of these words, it's very mysterious for a modern language, because it just means something like acute heaps, things stuck together. Thinking, what's that? And what's it got to do with, this is just some kind of Buddhist philosophy? No, it's actually very relevant to how the heart is affected, and where the heart lives, and what it feels constrained by, and what it feels trapped by, to the point to which the Buddha says that I live with a citta that is no longer restricted by these aggregates, by these heaps, by the khanda. I live with a citta that is no longer restricted by these khanda, and is no longer restricted by aging, sickness, and death. It is not restricted by defilements. It is not just restricted by suffering. So we can see that actually these are synonymous. To be no longer bound and oppressed by suffering, defilement. We have to be no longer bound by these 5 khanda. What are they? You may very well know. Form, sense of something substantial that we seem to be, all of them seem to be about me. Form, this is form, I'm in this body. This is my form. And you can see the suffering already, because this form is surely going to change and age and go through problems. This is my form. This is me. Yeah? And really? Did you decide to make it? Would you like to have another eye? Would you like to be another bit taller or fatter or shorter? No. Would you like to have more hair or less hair? It's just nothing. You can't. You have no agency over that. It's not yours. It's a form that you keep returning to it, because that's the kind of thing that people name you as. You're in there. There's Ajahn Sucitto in that form. It's a form, but it's certainly not something we own. Do we live within it? Whereabouts? Fingers, toes, behind the eyes, skin. Most people can't experience most of their form. We just experience the pieces of getting sensation happening to them. The forearm, the underarms, behind your ears, you don't experience that. So really, what we're bound by feeling, which is the second aggregate. Feeling happens, and I feel. Feeling happens, and I feel. I can't necessarily make it happen, but it happens, and it happens to me. Now, actually, truth of the matter is it happens to Citta, happens to the heart. Yeah. And can we say, today I will feel completely happy all day long, no worries. We can't really control feeling. Yeah. But it bothers us considerably, and we search for it. So one's kind of bound by this feeling experience. Pain, really, I really struggle with it. Pleasure, I really want more of it. If I get bored, I feel a bit not getting enough pleasant stimulation. So I'm really my citta is then caught in this web of feeling, perceptions, impressions, sometimes called memories. These are the impressions we have, like what I am, what she's looking like, what she thinks of me. When I come into a crowded room, do I feel nervous? Perception. Yeah. When I see a strange person, do I feel nervous? That immediate impression. When I think of somebody in the past, do I feel sad? That perception. So it's often got an emotional quality to it. Look over the sky, bright blue sky, perception, space, and then feeling comes in. So perceptions. And the biggest source of perception is other people. She doesn't like me. He's a bully. Yeah. What does she think of me? All this kind of stuff going on. And perceptions of myself. I try the best I can, but I'm kind of not really, I'm sort of inadequate, really. Perceptions of myself. We're bound in this. Sanya, Sankhara, fourth aggregate. All the impulses and responses that occur when feeling and perception touch us. We get excited, or we want to push something away, or we decide to do something else, yeah, or we go panicky, yeah, this kind of activation, sankhara, we get activated. And that activation tends to, first was just psychological activation, and then we act upon it, or we say something, or we do something, sankhara. Yeah, and it's really an amazing thing. If you can sit still for 10 minutes, then you're quite an unusual person these days. Most people have so much activation. They get activated by their activations. It's just 1 minute of silence is a big thing. If you can do 10 or 20 minutes of it, you've done a lot of steadying of that sankhara. But still, it moves around. It moves around memories. If only I'd done this. What can I do tomorrow? What can I do about my boss? Yeah, what should I do about my kids? So and so, so and so. Am I doing enough? What about the state of the world? This kind of volitional push. And the heart is giving its energy to this sankhara process. Most of it is just shooting off into thin air, doing no good at all. All the heart energy is just going out. And the heart gives itself to feeling, perception, sankharas, activations. And all its energy moves out. And it's searching for the right setup for those, where they'll be happy. And where does it look? It looks in consciousness, which is the fifth. So here consciousness means sight, sound, touch, thought, taste, odor. Primarily, for most of us, it's sight, sound, thought, maybe touch sometimes. So we definitely feel, I'm the one who sees things. I am, what we notice is whatever we see is purely what these eyes can see at this particular time. Can't see behind me. Yeah. If you walk through Singapore, your impressions of Singapore that day will be different from somebody else's walking down the same street, let alone a dog who sees something completely different. So consciousness is just presenting aspects in accordance with the sense basis. And we feel we're in that. We live in that world. But it's a magic show. It's a magic lantern show. It's a movie. Because wherever you move through, at the end of the day, you're back in Citta. What was all that? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Who switched the magic show off? Well, actually, one bit doesn't switch off, which is the mind consciousness. So the mind consciousness is thinking, do this and do that. Should I do this one tomorrow? What about them? What about that? How's he feeling? So you're in that. This cascade of thoughts. Feel we're in it. We are in it. So bound by this, a person is always agitated, unsettled, unreleased. Probably doesn't even recognize that such a thing as release is possible. And perhaps it takes quite a lot of training just to be able to calm down enough to get the sankharas, activations, steadied enough to be able to review things clearly. So Buddha says, well, the first thing you're doing, Citta Bhavana, is get your integrity clear so you're not feeling guilty and worried, and get some good friendship so you feel comfortable. And then start to just be with your breathing, because that breathing is a bodily sankhara, and your Citta Sankhara, the sankharas, the activations of your heart, will begin to tune in to the activation of the body, and there's this nice flow. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, calming. That's happening to you. Happening to you. And then that calming, you can begin to review, because what will happen is these memories, impressions will begin to arise. Feelings begin to arise. Emotions begin to arise. I mean, okay, now there's that. Who is that? And just by no longer being so fascinated by them, so convinced by them, so concerned about them, everybody gets anxious, everybody gets irritated. It's not you. These are just these forms. You begin to find a kind of peace through non-engagement with aggregates. And that's a pretty complicated term, but I'm trying to explain it, means that the senses of whatever arises in you, say, oh, there's that. There's another one. There's that. You begin to get, by no longer getting fazed by it and reacting to it, heart begins to know itself. Its knowing itself is called jnana, awareness. Which gives rise to panya, discernment. This is the aggregates. So this, then it's still occurring. We still see things and hear things, feel things. But instead of that rush of energy into them, and there's a sense of stability distinct from them. This is as a refuge. Very simply speaking, is keep coming back to the heart. Here's the worry. Don't fight it. Don't blame yourself. Don't try and get rid of it. Just here's the worry and here's the heart behind all that. And why this? We use the aggregates. We use the aggregates of activation, but our activation is saying, turn your attention this way. Rather than turn your attention into that problem, turn your attention this way. That's an activation. That's a Dhamma activation. Yeah. And yeah. And then you begin, so you turn the sankharas towards Dhamma, towards giving you a foundation that strengthens and replenishes the heart rather than depletes it. How much energy can one lose just in worry, fretting and tearing the heart apart? So we return. So this is so important to use the aggregates to bring you to Dhamma. And much of cultivation has to be established by this. How do we do this? We keep bearing in mind the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. We keep bearing in mind, I practice virtue. This is not an idea. This is a very steady sense of integrity. I practice kindness. This is not just a theory. It's an actual felt experience of the heart feeling warm and compassionate towards others. We return the heart to the Dhamma. So then we derive impressions that are based upon Dhamma. We derive the pleasant feeling that comes from assurance and confidence and stability. We get clear activations that turn us back, and we begin to relinquish sense consciousness or for the consciousness, the awareness of Citta. This is this process. Now, that may sound kind of technical, but you can see probably most of our problems, our issues are how do I deal with my boss? She's really cantankerous and not very pleasant. Well, you deal with a feeling of oppression, irritation, frustration. If you deal with that, she can't get you. You're worrying about something or the other, deal with the worry. And this actually is your duty in this life. This is the one you can deal with. The boss has to sort herself out. Yeah. And maybe your stability and your calm and your non-reactivity will support that. But the most important thing is to save what you can save, liberate what you can liberate, which is your citta. This would be for your welfare, and it cannot be other than for the welfare of others who can pick up the message. So I'll pause there today. I think there's plenty to consider, think about, and give yourself a few moments. Take in, consider it.
Handamayam Dhammakataya Sadhukaram Dadamase Sadhu 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 Anumodhami.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Take a breath. Yeah. Some of these things might be useful later. Perhaps they didn't land right now, but you may remember them later. But now I'd like to offer the opportunity for anyone to ask a question.
Thank you so much, Bhante. So if you have any questions, please click on the raise hand button, and then we'll invite you to unmute. Yes, we have Gabriela. Gabriela?
Gabriel. Hello, Gabriel.
Hello, Ron. It's a real honor to speak to you for the first time. And I'm familiar with Birkin, and I had a wonderful stay. I'm in Edmonton, so it's a bit of a drive.
Everything, long way in Canada. Everything's a long way in Canada.
This Dhamma talk is incredibly timely. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to absorb what you have spoken of, taught, and the situation is a family situation in the last couple of weeks where I have a sister who is not well, lives in another city, so not nearby. And it's recently been discovered there's been some theft of money from her bank account. So that's the situation. But the activation for me in trying to help, other people are involved, the police, the care home staff, etc. And I'm trying my best from a distance to work with her because she's in control of her finances to get to the bottom of this. Okay, that's the situation. But this whole teaching you've just given around activation, because the energy for me comes up into almost my throat, and it is a compulsive, obsessive drive to keep going, find out more, find out more. And I'm doing my best to not let it take over. But it's pretty hard at times. And so I just wonder if there's anything that you can either repeat or offer that will help me take this situation and see it through the eyes of Dhamma rather than my reactive, worldly way that I want to do it.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel. So I'll ask a silly question. I'll ask you a silly question. Why do you care?
Why wouldn't I? She's a sister.
She's your sister. Okay.
And she's also not well.
Right.
And I'll get emotional. She's had many difficult moments in her life. And she's a younger sister, and I feel as an older sister somewhat responsible.
Okay. So you're not a police person, are you?
I'm sorry?
You're not a policewoman.
No.
Sister. So you are the unique place. The police can look into the inquiry, into the theft. You look into your sister because you're the only one who can do that. And the urgency is for you to give her your reassurance, your love, and compassion in this particular time, because it's obviously very disturbing for her. That's your job. That's the bit that only you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So your activation, there's some truth in it. You want to do something, but if you're wise about it, what you can do is, okay, me getting like this is not really going to help her any.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to help her if I can extend steady presence, calming, and compassion? That's going to help her. That's the bit I can do. And I'm the only one who can do that. Law enforcement so forth. They can look into theft and so forth, but your job is her. So you first of all, to get the sankharas grounded, often we use the body because when we're shocked, it comes up. We get a bit panicky and overstressed. Just try to be aware of right down to the soles of your feet and your back. And you're standing and say, why does this matter to me? Why do I care? Because she's my sister. And you feel that sense of strength, right? And I'm going to support her. So you use the body to give you the sense of here and now, immediate strength and capacity, and then you turn to the piece you can deal with.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah. As an older sister, you probably got that tendency to feel you've got to, look after your little one. Understandable, that's sanya. That's perception, that's impression. She's another human being. But you have a relationship where you have the access that other people don't have to your sister. And you should remember that and use that specifically for the one thing you can do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. A boy from India.
Who do we have now? The Baron.
The Baron, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, am I audible? Thank you, Lumpo. Thank you for all your teachings, and I'm really inspired and guided by your teachings and your talks and your books. So I just want to express my gratitude. I wish I can meet you sometime in person and pay my respects also. And the question that I have is, as you practice, you turn, there is something that makes you more turn inward, and you find it difficult to, you find it less and less more interesting to deal with the worldly things. And is that something like which is natural progression of the Dhamma? And whether like you sometimes feel like you need to be more mindful about the future and plan for the future, but at the same time you feel like, okay, how much can you plan? And you feel like, okay, if you give more time to all these kind of things, that's more taking you away from the path of the Dhamma, like the, in terms of money, in terms of that's been the focus, but then you feel like that's not going to be the real investment. The real investment has to be more within you. And therefore, your involvement with those things, there is a sense of contentment as well. And then that's also. So is this kind of the right attitudes, and how to go about with the practice as these things are unfolding?
I think it's a natural development. It's called nipita, which means you're kind of a bit weary of the world. It's not got much in it for you. You're not getting much enjoyment out of it. So you're much more enjoying things like skillful friendships, being quiet. Everybody practices generally sense activation becomes less. You don't really want to go out to shows and parties. You don't want to drink. Violence, aggregate, all that goes. Greed, wanting more money, tends to stop. You just want to live contented. And so that's a natural process. But then you also have to bear in mind that, we're here this is the situation we're in. We have to play with it. We have to have some sense of conventional future, job, part, things, duties. So you try to do your duties with a sense of parami, what are called parami, things like patience. So you try to bring Dhamma qualities to, we might say, the affairs of the world. So we act without patience. Can I live as a business person with integrity without cheating or manipulating people? Can I, as I make my earnings, can I remember generosity, share it with others? Can I develop equanimity towards the success and failure that happens? So in this way, the world as we know it becomes a place of practice whereby all the time we're practicing these heart-strengthening virtues called parami. Can I be in an irritating situation, be patient? Can I get to the airport and find out my airplane's been cancelled and develop equanimity? It's all practice. You practice in the world in a non-worldly way. Not because you particularly have a vested interest in it, because this is where you keep, when we got born, we subscribe to this. And you can't check out. So you have to make the practice out of it with a sense of calm and coolness.
Thank you very much, Lou.
Thank you. We have the next person, Vijay. Vijay? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Vijay.
Thank you. Much gratitude, Ajahn, for this opportunity for Dhamma. My question is also very similar to the previous person's question about practicing the Dhamma, turning, finding the opportunity to look inside, then reacting to all the activities of the day, the work, the pressure at work and everything, and still finding the moment to turn inwards. It does happen, but it's less frequent than I want to make or I would like to see that happen more and more and more. But how do we live this everyday life and at the same time, make this occurrence of the turning of the inwards? Like, I'm surprised, I'm amazed every time that happens. I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about slowing down, and it just happens. And it has come a long way, but it seems like it is not enough. There is this gap. I feel like I can't leave everything and just go like Buddha did. But I'm looking for a balance still. Anything more you can offer?
Thank you, Vijay. Yeah, well, the fact that you're saying things have changed, things have improved. Citta learns. You can learn something up here, but the Citta also learns. But it doesn't learn immediately. So it's a process, often very patient, giving the Citta time to learn. And of course, the more you return to it, the more you make it the center, then you're freshening up its potential to learn. This is why we do meditation. We just return there and remember remind yourself and remind the Citta, you're the most important thing. Yeah. But the more you do that, it will gain strength. And you'll find that what tends to happen is you can feel these, because when you do meditation, you can sense these sankharas, these activations start jumping up. And you can sense the sanya, these impressions hitting you. Oh, I should. Yeah. See, wait a minute. Well, this, and then there's that. There's this being hit and washed over, and there's this rushing out. There's no worry or eagerness or excitement or panic, and then feeling offended, feeling oppressed. You just say that, think, wait, eventually you're going to get it.
Yeah.
You're going to get it, and somebody's going to say, just a moment, just pause. Just pause. In some way, it's as devastatingly simple as that.
Yeah.
It's learning when that stuff starts flying around, pause, find out where your body is, relax in your belly, relax your face, give yourself 10 seconds. Okay. Now, you create a little bit of space. Don't try to, and you wait for that space to arise, and then, well, that doesn't matter. Ah, well, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And this is an exercise, you can do it as a deliberate exercise, like you set your phone. It's going to, little buzz is going to happen 6 times a day. When you hear that buzz, stop. Wherever you are, unless you're driving. And so you get used to that process, becomes familiar, that stopping is a familiar, the Citta recognizes as a familiar thing to do. It's not difficult, but it's the thing that almost nobody ever does. Everybody rushing on to change things and get things sorted out and figure things out and explain it. Everybody's moving just to that cut engines. You feel the woo, 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 but you don't have to have an answer. So just practicing like that. It's amazing just how many habits, how many reactive habits we can just pause on, arrest. And the more you do that, it's like the more they lose energy. It's like you've cut a thread and the energy of that is no longer so strong. Every time you do it, you cut it again. Yeah. Okay, Richie. Bless you.
One more question from Amos. Amos, can you unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
John, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Amos. Sorry, Amos.
Sure. Thinking about Khanda, did the Buddha recommend, or do you recommend any particular practice? Like, I guess I'm thinking like just while sitting or walking or doing like dedicated practice, noting like, well, what was that? Was that a feeling, or is form arising, or like that? Is there anything that you can work with formally, or you would suggest?
It's a fairly much informal. In a way, you start off kind of why we do salutations and so forth is because that's a perception. this is a perception. This is an activation. It's a perception, the Blessed One, but it's a beautiful perception, the calm, the steady, the man of integrity. This is an activation I honor, I respect. So you kind of get a sense of really establishing those supportive aggregates, of which, of course, the body is a support. When we use it carefully, mindfulness of body is a supportive aggregate because it holds us steady. So when you establish those foundational practices of the heart in terms of our integrity, what we our values, what we sense of we can all belong to the field of practitioners. The more we establish those, your main formal practice is establishing the container of proper aggregates. Yeah. So you're getting some good feeling out of I harm nothing, I do no harm. And you get a feeling of feel good. That feels good. I feel clean. I feel steady. I feel respect. To establish the good aggregates. And then when they're established, then, the stuff just comes in. As we know, you're walking along and boom, you see something, you hear something, and you wait a minute, so hold it, just contain it. And so that the good aggregates, when you're made skillfully, they can help you to go back to the heart. Yeah. And that's where wisdom arises. So, of course, because we're in a kind of, our life is not a retreat center. It's not a bing, 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 5 minutes. It's ongoing. And you're out in the field and there's stuff coming from all directions. So what you do is you establish a center and then the chaos of life hits you. That's the practice.
Sadhu.
Sound familiar? But of course, you can recollect them, bring them to mind, how that's feeling. And particularly the most important ones I suggest are Sankhara, the activations, because this really has got my thumbprint on it. This is me doing my thing. Yeah. And Sanya, this is me feeling dumped again, feeling inadequate again, feeling, you call it feeling, it's actually Sanya, the impression of myself, So those are probably your two ones you want to know. This is not an impression of myself. This is a sanya. This is not me doing my old thing. This is a habitual sankhara. Yeah? So just then okay. It's just getting you out of these ruts. Yeah. So we're always emptying out the sense of self. Not by dismissing it, but by being actually truthful. That movement of action was not me, it was an action. That called itself me and mine. Because I followed it. My citta's followed that 1,000 times. Yeah. And every time I don't follow it, in some way I'm retrieving my citta from this habitual grasped at aggregate. The aggregates affected by clinging, they're called. The bad aggregates, when they're affected by clinging, they stick and they create a self. So it's a wisdom practice. But it's nothing else to do, really. Since this is our, we're working out, we're finishing, we're trying to work ourselves out of this conglomerate that we feel so bound up in. Naturally, talking about it helps. Kalyanamita helps because you recognize, well, that's not mine because everybody else gets it too. Wow, she does that. Wow, that's not her, that's just a habit. Or she thinks that about herself. No, she's not like that. That's a sanya. So it really helps to bring these to mind and talk about them, look at them, review them. Okay,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
Someone else? One more.
Okay, Belle, you're the lucky one. You're probably the last one of the day.
It's such a joy to be with you, Longpo. Thank you. If you are ever in Australia, I would love to be in your presence. So please come again to Australia. And please live long. You're a treasure in this world. My question, Longpo, is there's two, and I hope I can be very brief. So when I've been in a relationship for the past 5 years that's recently, finally, I've kind of extricated myself from, and I say it that way because it was very sticky and quite difficult. But my question is, when we notice how things, when they end, they just seem like a dream. Like all the energy you've put into something, all that the activations, I guess, all that energy, the care, the attention, and the entanglement, and then it ends, and you just think, well, wow, that we were so involved, and then it's over. And part of me is like, did that even happen? Was there ever love? Was there ever care? Was there ever? And it's kind of quite shocking. And it's also, I see that the whole of life is kind of like that. Like, where does it go? So there's that question I just hoped you could say something a bit about, because it kind of leaves, it's a very strange, odd kind of, and part of me wants to reach out and go and follow it and go, well, did you care? Did that? But it's over. So what's the point, So there's that. And then when I don't follow activations, I can see their activations. I can see if I can notice a pattern. And then when I can pause, it's like taking that air out of a hot balloon or something. It's kind of like, ooh, and then it's like losing energy. It's like, and maybe that's a good thing. And so I hoped you could speak to both those things. Maybe they're connected. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's all mixed up, you see. I mean, because generally, in any kind of relationship with another person, in some sense, the heart is relational. The heart is a relational experience. It receives things, it shares things, it is touched by things. Most important thing to be touched by, receive, is other people. That's natural. That's the way we're built. That's why we're moral. That's why we're compassionate. That's why we love, because the heart by itself is relational. So there's that natural. Problem is, it gets mixed up with projections, whereby it becomes the actual specific qualities of the relationship become blurred. So the kind of initial opening and receptivity starts to get kind of blurred and fuzzy, and with sorts of, should I do this? Should I do that? What does he want? What does she want? Am I getting it right? It starts to get very sort of personal. And in a way, then what happens is that this other instinct comes in, which is the craving to be for self, called bhava. Craving to be a self. Well, actually, the citta is just an open. No, it's no. no name on it. It's just an open, warm, it's intimate, it's subjective, but it's not a person. But then what happens is this sense comes in of, well, that person will be the thing, the quality, where I get this steady sense of warmth from. Well, you know, you could, most relationships, they got something like that in them. All of them, there's some difficulties because it's just not the way it is. And what can so often start to occur almost without not deciding it, this is a subconscious, what's called a nutsaya, a tendency, is I want someone to make me, to give me something to hang on to. Not hang on to, but to be, this is what I belong to, this is the real thing, this is, it could work out something steady and stable. So that may occur, but the impulse to make it occur projects onto a person. You will be something for me. Then it starts to get contaminated. And they're doing the same to you.
Mm.
But they're looking for somebody who isn't there, and you're looking for somebody who isn't there. And often relationships are trying to actually understand that, and let's try and undo that together, if we can, to actually be more real and to deal with projecting fantasy. But it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
And you think, actually, I don't know if I want to do all that.
Exactly.
Perhaps just having a bit more space, having friendships, maybe that's a bit easier and more spacious and less, taking on. That's what I've done anyway.
Yeah.
That's the way it's worked for me this time round. Because it's just nothing wrong with people. It's just that it's a lot of confusion.
Yes. Yes.
You don't have any control over them. These instincts and impulses just not happening.
And so, Longpo, in a way, the ending of things, I could see it really as a blessing, like as a great opportunity for just recognizing the truth more.
Just cooling.
Cooling, exactly.
Also, it's like recognizing, there is heart. Don't lose heart, whatever you do. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Bella. So I think we probably, I said to Beta, I don't think I can manage an hour and a half. I've just done it.
You did very well, Longpo. Very generously, we received of your wisdom.
Yeah. Okay. Good wishes, though. Lovely to talk with you. Real human beings, real practice, and Kalyanamita. So blessings to you. And let's meet again. Next time I'm going to be in Europe. So the time things change. I'll move around a bit, but next time it's going to be in France. So I'll see what I can do from there. And clearly, you can pick up what you can, those who can make it. And the rest can try to get in on the recording of it. Okay, so it's November 24th. And hope to see some of you then. Until then, stay in the stream and be well and don't lose heart. Bhagava Panno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Good care. Bye for now.
And thank you, Longpo. So, brothers and sisters, let us all now take leave from Longpo by offering him our respectful 3 bows. Take care, Longpo.
Yeah.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye for now.